Okay, so I want to talk about just a few general concepts, and tone is a really important one because it kind of encompasses the whole range of sounds that you can be making. And I think at the beginning of your journey with the fiddle, you might be just thinking about sounding good or kind of making a pretty sound or something like that. But just keeping in mind that it's so much broader than just that. There's such a wide range, and tone can be really personal. And I think a lot of my kind of foundational ideas on what tone is come from listening to fiddle players whose tone I enjoy and whose sound I enjoy, and just kind of hearing them be themselves through the sounds that they're making. And like the most shining example that comes to mind is Daryl, who I'm sure you've heard, and if you haven't, you have to go listen to him. I mean, you can just tell that it's him when you hear one note on a record, and that's so cool. And I don't even know really how he does it, but there's obviously a lot of things at play, which we've talked about a little bit. Some of it is bow speed and bow pressure, where on the string that you're hitting it with your bow, where your bow is touching. So here or here or here. Also attack, by which I mean the way that you start your note. So you could, one way, I'll just do a few examples, like starting from nothing, like a kind of swell. That would be one way to attack the string. Another would be just kind of start going, like you're planted there and then you start moving it. Or you can come from the air. So instead of being already on the string when you start the note, just coming at it from a little further away. So you have that extra added articulation of the sound of the bow hitting the string. So attack, envelope, which means like the full length of the note. So from beginning to end, all the tone that happens in that amount of time. So again, that could be a swell, that could be a decrescendo, which means getting quieter, or the opposite, getting louder. And yeah, a swell would be like both of those, louder and then softer. So yeah, tone has a lot built into it, and there's things that you can also do with your left hand that are gonna impact the quality of sound that you're making, like how far or how strong you're pressing down the string. Like that's just a totally different thing. That's a harmonic, like when your finger's actually not all the way down. But yeah, it's just something to think about. It's like actually the left hand and how it's hitting the string. And then vibrato, which would be when you're kind of wiggling your finger around. We'll get to that, talk about that more, but that also impacts tone. So just kind of being aware of all these options and figuring out how to make different sounds. The best thing I could tell you to do is to listen to other fiddlers and other non-fiddlers. If you like how somebody sounds, you can still try to approximate that with your own instrument. And you can watch, there's so many great videos on YouTube, or going to live concerts, see what they're doing and see if you can figure out what it is mechanically that's helping them make that sound that they're making that you like. And then just kind of also remembering that you can use this broad spectrum of tones at different times. Like you don't have to pick one way that you sound and always sound that same way. You could sometimes sound like Daryl, sometimes sound like Vassar, sometimes sound like Bruce Molsky. Like you can, that's definitely something I've tried to do, is a lot of imitation, and then eventually I mean, you're still you're individual, so you're not going to sound exactly like them. You're going to sound like yourself. And if you take from a lot of different sources, then that gives you more of a palette to choose from. And I think it's a lot like genre, where, you know, you can mix and match. You can learn things from different traditions. You want to be respectful to them and like learn everything you can, so that if you're saying like this is a whatever type of tune, that you do it justice and you honor where it came from. But you don't have to box yourself in and only do one thing if you want to be more broad. If you do want to do just one thing, that's cool too. But yeah, just be aware of the range and listen to a lot of different music, because then you can take in more ideas from elsewhere and decide what you want to use when you're making your own sounds.